Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Afternoon to everyone, and I know it's after lunch, so I wanted us just to do a little icebreaker before we begin. And the icebreaker is very simple. They always say engineers are very serious and robot-minded persons. Well, I'm going to take you out of that comfort zone if you don't mind. And in doing so, I'm just going to try and pull up this slide here. I might need the IT person to just assist here.
This is it?
Yeah, that one. Okay, great, thank you. All right, so they always say engineers build things to last, and I agree totally with that. And in the case of TMAS, we ensure that what you build stands the test of time during emergencies. So we have a nice mutual relationship, engineers and TMAS. So to get you out your comfort zone, I'm looking around the session room, and I'm sure everybody remembers the 1980s, yes? Y'all are that young, okay. There was a lovely movie called Ghostbusters. And you remember that there was the little punchline, if there's something strange in your neighborhood, who are you gonna call? Great. Well, I'm gonna, in a synopsis of a jingle to get you ready for Carnival, go through a little bit of lines about TMAS that you'll understand what we do and who we are. And all I need you to do is when I say who you're gonna call, you're gonna say, call TMAS, but it's the same theme as Ghostbusters. So here we go, let's make sure we get ready after lunch. If there's an emergency and it's level 3, who are you gonna call? If you have a phone or a radio, who are you gonna call? If you're seeing smoke and it ain't no joke, who are you gonna call? If there's a fire ablaze and it's just too great, who are you gonna call? If a chemical leaks and your chances are bleak, who are you gonna call? What's the number you ask? It's 800-4-GAS. So with that said, we're gonna go ahead with the presentation. Now, I'll patent it on behalf of TMAS. Now, when you think of TMAS, you have to really think of a coordinated effort. And I think these words came to light internationally when we remember last year the situation with this airline, Asiana Airlines, when they were trying to land at the San Francisco airport, and unfortunately, they had a disaster. Coming out of this disaster, the mutual aid effort really took limelight. And it actually was said by these following 3 persons: Deborah Hirschman, National Transportation Safety Board, the mayor of San Francisco, and also the chief of surgery at San Francisco General Hospital. In all their interviews, they all said, were it not for the role of institutions under the mutual aid scheme in San Francisco, this disaster and the number of fatalities would have been worse. So right away you start realizing TMAS is all about networking in Trinidad and Tobago. It's all about getting institutions to come together to assist national and individual disasters. But at the end of the day, this is what we're all about in TMAS. Unity and purpose. We come together for one reason: to deal with emergency situations, man-made or natural. We're fit for purpose. When we go through the presentation, you'd actually understand and appreciate that we have personnel, equipment, just like you have engineering strategies, engineering solutions, engineering equipment. We have that on board for emergencies as well. We unite for a common purpose. At the end of the day, irrespective of which company we belong to, once the ODPM or even the Ministry of Energy or National Security, who we actually answer to, says we need companies on the Point Lisas Industrial Estate to respond and assist a national event, we down our tools, we put on our citizenry hat, and we come out there and assist the country and the citizens. And as you see there, the last one, you don't need Sesame Street to tell you, working together is better. At the end of the day, 2 heads are better than 1, and when you have a coordinated response of emergency personnel represented by different companies, many of whom are actually here today, y'all are representing them, they belong to TMAS, we have a good united force to deal with emergencies to help companies in distress or even our members. So let's get into TMAS. Trinidad and Tobago actually decided back 31 years ago in 1983 that there was a need to form this unit, an institution called TMAS, because at that time we had a lot of industries on the Point Lisas Industrial Estate, and we had a complement locally with the fire services, and they realized fire services know this much, but they don't know a lot about the chemicals on the estate. They know how to deal with the emergencies for the engineered equipment on the estate. And so TMAS was born from two parties, Texaco and the fire services, when they realized we could have a mutual arrangement. If there is an emergency at any of the engineering process plants, TMAS members will come out with their ambulances, their fire trucks, their personnel, and dedicate it to a coordinated effort to help the stricken facility. And that is what we are. We are TMAS. We're there in the event of emergencies. We operate with a force of over 50 companies, 17 statutory organizations within Trinidad and Tobago, as well as ministerial institutions. We all coordinate an effort at the end of the day to make sure emergencies are managed, and more so that we learn lessons from them to mitigate them for the future. And the last point that's important, we're a non-governmental organization because it's companies that come together, and the branch called TMAS is non-profit organization. We're not there to earn money, we're there to save lives and to make sure that the structures stay standing. Our vision. Our vision is really about looking beyond just the local arena, because we saw what happened recently in the Caribbean, where other countries sometimes need our assistance. So again, this is where TMAS comes in. If there's an emergency outside, and you heard it was level 3, I told you we report and respond to, we are there to go and assist voluntarily, to use our expertise in the health, safety, environment area, in the engineering arena. We can get our people together and say, listen, TMAS responds to National Security Ministry, Ministry of Energy. Let us go and assist ODPM or any of the other institutions that are going out there. Let's send our people because we want to use our expertise in a good way. At the end of the day also too, how we were formed back in 1983 is how we have to operate. We have, at the end of the day, a mantra, meaning we have to respond to emergencies on the Point Lisas Industrial Estate if they happen. And as you would know, and I'll show you in a few slides, the Point Lisas Industrial Estate has grown since 1983. So at the end of the day, we are there to lead by example with emergency response with a coordinated effort. And as I shared, I wouldn't go through this, there were reasons why we were formed, and we have to live up to the vision and the mission of making sure, with the lack of expertise sometimes on the side of the fire services, we have the know-how and the technical persons and engineers who can respond to emergencies with these chemical industries. Key to note also is the fact that recently, you'll remember about 2.5 weeks ago, there was an article in the newspapers, it was on the news about the smell emanating, a gas smell from the Point Lisas area and the Couva area, and it turned out to be 8 cylinders of ethyl mercaptan, a LPG odorant. And the fire services from Shogunas with the Hazwapper and the hazard truck there, they came down and they actually called on Petrotrin, NGC, and Plipdeco for advice of how to handle this hazardous waste. So right again, you see, sometimes up to today, we do provide assistance to the fire services when they don't have the technical engineering know-how of how to deal with disposal and handling of hazardous waste. The Point Lisas Industrial Estate, just a stone throw away. As you see from this slide, there are several companies. From 1983 to now, 2014, you have ammonia, methanol in their numbers, along with even the power generation plant. A lot of people say the Point Lisas estate is a ticking time bomb. The community is worried about what could happen. And TMAS being there, ever present on the estate with all the companies there and the respective persons belonging to TMAS, that's the reassurance we give the community. That if something is going to happen, if there's an emergency and level 3 has gone out of whack, TMAS will respond. We can call on TCL because they're a member. We can call on Power Gen, they're a member. We can call on anyone and say, send your ambulances, send your fire trucks, meet us at the site because we have a stricken facility. Everybody unites for one purpose, to save a stricken company. This is the estate again, and we far reach out, as you would say, and extend TMAS to even Petrotrin and Henley. Atlantic is there. We actually have branches of TMAS. We started in the Point Lisas area, but we have 5 chapters now. So we have a chapter in Tobago, Cove Estate. We have a chapter in the Beachfield, Guaya area. We have a chapter in the Southwest Peninsula area, and Atlantic actually chairs that TMAS chapter. And then we have the central one at Point Lisas. So we have branches wherever you have hazardous operations or anything engineering could go in a mishap or a malfunction, TMAS members are located in those areas to manage the issue or the problem. Now, this is really what we are all about. Having operations, existing in areas where we have communities, and making sure at the end of the day, there is a response, there is a call, and there's a united front representing the companies out there along with the fire services and the police services as well. Because we know what could go wrong. We just had to look back again last year at what happened in Waco, Texas, where one ammonia plant exploded. And I showed you on a slide how many we have in Point Lisas? 12. Good. So if this could be 12 blowing up at the same time with a domino effect, that's where TMAS comes in to make sure that never happens. These are some of our members, and it'll be nice, a lot of you all here. When I saw the register up there, a lot of you all are here. Your companies actually have HSE and security reps that sit at our TMAS meetings every 2 months. And yes, we have an executive of 10 persons running the show, as they say, but it's really the heart of TMAS, our members, who have equipment, who have trained personnel that bring every 2 months information sharing. They come and they make sure at the end of the day, lessons learned are always on top of the agenda for our meetings. Now, there are benefits to being in a mutual aid scheme if your company is there or if you want to join. One, as you see there, appropriate safety culture. At the end of the day, you want to save lives. You want people on board who care for life and care to keep the structures that you have built fit for purpose. We're also about managing critical incidents, sharing experiences, having training and development. And I'm not going to go through all of these because you're going to see pictures that demonstrate what we say that we can do, that we actually do it, and there are benefits to that. More benefits here, as you see there, expertise. Making sure people, at the end of the day, build relationships, community and companies wherever TMAS members are located. And at the end of the day, trust. The trust that the community has that nothing could go wrong, and if it does, there are mitigation plans and emergency responders to deal with that situation. And the last set of benefits are good. At the end of the day, people could come together and the stricken facility gets the help. But more so, those who help get reimbursed. So you don't just give resources, you get them back at the end of the day. But the main thing is to get out there and save lives at the time that counts. And also, the second to last one, membership. TMAS grew from just 10 members, 11 member companies, to now over 50 member companies over the past 30 years. And we want to grow and get stronger. So if you're seeing that your company was not up there and you want to be a member of TMAS, we encourage you to join. To join, however, this is what you need. You need to have a responsible care code of practice. In other words, a policy that states that you are serious about managing emergencies. We have bylaws because we can't operate Vicky. Just like engineers have code of standards, regulations you follow, we have a bylaw that tells us how we have to operate within which purview, and we're accountable to the Ministry of National Security. Each company that wants to join and be a member must bring something to the table, meaning you must have resources like trained personnel, emergency equipment, engineering solutions, engineering products. You must have fire trucks. You must have at least ambulances. So when we call on you, you're coming with something productive to the emergency site. You must have emergency response plans because we want to make sure you can take care of your home before you try and go out and help someone else. And of course, you must have an adequate communication system where we can call on you for help. So radios, Motorola, those handhelds, we want to be able to call you, not just by the landline and cell phone. And of course, some of our activities. As you see there, we're involved in national drills. We make sure at the end of the day, we partner other companies, institutions, and statutory bodies. We sit on committees, for example, the oil spill committee with Mark. We had a member sitting there helping develop the plan. So we're all about not just having benefits, but having activities to function our roles. And in the communication testing aspect, every week, this just shows a log. Every week, we test our members to make sure they answer the phone, as we say, or the radio. So we test them every Tuesday around 1 to 1:30. A call goes out from the base, 800 for gas NGC, and they will say, all TMAS members, please respond to this test call. So in the event of an emergency, when we do use that real call, we know they will answer. So we test our members as well. And this is the line and the number that they would have to call. So let's get into when you call, what happens quickly. You 800 for gas, remember I told you that's the number you ask, 800 for gas. You call that number, and right away, the communication grid of TMAS starts going into play. The affected plant will call 800 for gas and say, we have a level 3, we need TMAS help. NGC, as the hub, will then call all the members of TMAS. They will call all the national statutory authorities and get them out to the site. And once everybody's on the site, we start linking in via radio, via our cell phones if we have to, with the different triage areas and the different institutions that we may have to send stricken facility personnel to. So it's a nice coordinated effort to national response and more so to industrial response. So in wrapping up, we'll just look at a few pictures, because pictures tell a lot of words, just like the jingle did. We do a lot of training. So we don't just say we have people who are trained. We put them through rigorous, advanced, for example, fire training with ANSOL from aboard, so they're certified. We actually do drills, live drills. So we make sure we involve the real police, the real fire chief, and the real doctors and medics out there. We make sure that we do drills at different types of facilities. So this was one in 2012 where we did it at Phoenix Park Gas Processors Limited. And the irony is, 7 months later, they actually had a real emergency. In January of 2013, we got called out and TMAS was able to just say, we read from the book and the script what happened, we practiced it, and look how it played out in real life, and we managed it. We also moulage people and make sure that they look like real-life emergencies, so we get to test people's response when they see the blood, how they react, and get them out of that psychological trauma. So we try to make the drills as real as possible, and of course we work in the field and in the EOC, the Emergency Operating Center, with the stricken facility. We work with schools. This is the airport drill at the bottom here with Eric Mackey from ODPM, and we actually have training sessions amongst ourselves every year to update our competencies. We had a training last year with the ICS, and this was it here. FEMA from US came down, and this was actually the Coover incident where TMAS members came out 2.5 weeks ago to deal with those cylinders dressed in their Tyveks. And this is the Tobago Airports Authority. We work with them to make sure that we also can manage airport emergencies if called out for. This was us at the Canadian conference last year for Emergency Development Management at AmCham. That's our PRO, and Brazil as well. And of course, a picture now will go with you all here, having been at APET. And finally, reward and recognition. We recognize our people, our institution, our members who are TMAS. We recognize the time and effort they give to come to meetings, to share, to send people to training and emergency, to send people to call out. So we always have annual awards where we recognize persons and companies for their dedication to the TMAS effort. So with that said, that's TMAS in a nutshell, and there's a lot more you could read on our website. And Michael, one of our executive members from TNTech, is also here. He's our assistant secretary. So TNTech, the utilities are also involved. So get on board and make sure you become part of TMAS, because we are all here for the same purpose. As the great speaker said, Martin Luther King, we all came in separate boats. But if anything goes wrong, we're all on the same ship right now. And I'm going to end with one more part of a jingle. If you have oil spills and you get the chill, who are you going to call? Call Mark Rudder, because he's your next speaker on oil spills. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that vibrant presentation. You see why she's now the youngest president.
Not so young.
I will pause there before I call on Mark, as Miss Lucky has to run to another presentation. So I will give 5 minutes, because I know a lot of you may have some questions. So I'll pause for 5 minutes to take on any questions that you all may have. Can someone pass along the microphones?
I promise I won't sing the answer. I will say it and state it properly. Well, that's good if you don't have any questions. It means the jingle worked, and the oil spill questions will stick for Mark. No? Okay, well, on behalf of TMAS, thank you for having us here, and we wish APET all the best and success in the future. Thank you.